So I posted this video to my channel about a set of virtual lenses that I created for use in Unreal Engine, and you all had a lot of thoughts. There are over 1,000 comments on that video, so I've read through all of them and cherry-picked a few that represent the most asked questions, and I'm going to answer them right here. But first, I want to give a big thank you to all of you who have responded. There's so much positivity in the comments, and I'm just kind of overwhelmed because by my channel standards, that thing's gone kind of viral. So I do appreciate all of you and thank you very much for your support. Let's get into the first comments. Salary Cat says, fun stuff, but having to use a path tracer kind of beats the point of using a real-time engine. Why not do it in Blender with much better 3D tools at your disposal? The fact is, I use Unreal because I enjoy it the most. I've used other systems. I've used Maya, Blender, Houdini, but the one I enjoy is Unreal. None of the others really gripped me in that way. The lenses though require the path tracer to work in the first place. When I'm using Unreal and building a scene and doing animation, that's when I'm using my real-time rendering capabilities because I'm viewing it with Lumen in good quality. But when I get to rendering, even without the lenses, I still use the path tracer because it gives me the best quality of light transport. Simple as that. I don't tend to use Lumen or ray tracing. I still use the path tracer. So using the lenses is not a big departure in workflow to me, but I do appreciate that a lot of artists come to Unreal to take advantage of its real-time rendering, or at least faster render times using Lumen and ray tracing. But at the end, I think the real answer is Unreal is the one I enjoy. So at least for the time being, that's where I'm going to work. Kalijah Anderson says, honestly, if I'm playing a game, I don't want to see what it would look like through a camera. I want to see what it would look like if I was actually there. There's definitely been a bit of confusion in the comments over the use of the lenses. They're not real time, they're not for games, and they are for cinematics or short films or feature film rendering. That's what I would imagine them being used for. But a lot of you, I assume, are in game development or interested in using Unreal Engine for games. This is not really for that. So I completely understand the point. I wouldn't want these effects, especially not in VR. These are absolutely for cinematic rendering. Niles Tillander says, really nice, but not really unique. I see videos of people doing that popping up every few years or so. Yes, so in my video I said they were fairly unique. I'm aware that other people have done this, but because there are so few people who have done this, and certainly no one that I've seen doing it in Unreal, I would say fairly unique. My lenses were made with a different technique to the ones they used, but I still think it's worth shining a light on the people who have done this work because it's really valuable, and I didn't mention them in the last video, so I want to acknowledge them here. Let me show you the kind of work that's been done out there already. Jack Toth created a pack called Jackamorphic, which is a range of anamorphic lenses for use in Blender. So if you want to try some out, he would be the person to find. I have put a link to his work in the description below. He also has a set of vintage lenses as well, so those can be tried out too. There's also Zircron45 who put a video out about a month ago. It's like a 45-minute long tutorial video on how to create lenses in Blender. It's really detailed, really great work from him, and it's amazing for people who want to try this out themselves. He creates a Canon 85mm, I think, and again, link in the description. And finally, Sirandalot, who created absolute bonkers video creating a full working camera in Blender. He not only modeled the optics, he also modeled the camera and simulated the chemical process of exposing film, and the results were absolutely amazing too. Link in the description to that video below. It's really worth a watch. This is from Menaced. You can definitely get this effect with shaders, would be faster too, but I don't know how Unreal does shaders, especially with ray or path tracing. This is totally valid, and there are a lot of comments about this. I don't want people to get the idea that I created these as some sort of alternative to compositing and traditional effects. Don't want that to be the takeaway, because yes, you can create this with shaders, you can do it with post-process effects or compositing. The point of making the lenses was to get a physically accurate result. So yes, you can create it with shaders, but if you want to see ground truth reality, you can use the lenses. You can create animations with them if you have the time. I have tried it, it does work, but if you don't have the time, then traditional workflows using effects and filters is totally fine and valid. I am not going to get into a fight over that. I've had some really interesting conversations with concept artists who are working in Unreal Engine and building out scenes, and they are using the lenses to communicate a slightly more cinematic look. I think that's a really interesting use because they're rendering out still frames and can spend a bit more time per render. And because they are controllable effects, you don't have to have so much softness or so much bloom It's all controllable. And I have had this in the comments quite a bit. The images were quite grainy and noisy in the video because I was in tutorial mode and doing it on the fly, so the images hadn't fully resolved. But here are a couple of images which, as you can see, are much cleaner and have fully rendered. You do not have to have very soft images with these lenses. Even if you want to use 2D filters or you want to composite in Nuke, whatever it is your workflow normally is, you could render out periodic images through a shot to find out how the light would react in a physically accurate way to inform your composite. That's one way of doing it, and I think that's going to be more interesting as I start to get into digital twin lenses, creating virtual lenses of real lenses. And question 5 from John Jag's knee, very interesting. I have one of my favorite lenses sitting on my desk, the Helios 44-2 58mm. Me too. Might that be one of your reference lenses for the swirly bokeh? It was. It just so happens that this lens is going to be the next lens that I make. I'm trying to do this as a complete digital twin right now, so that's going to be super interesting. I have a couple of extra thank yous. One of them is to Johan Heinrich from How to Print. His tutorial on his channel is really detailed, and I don't think I would have finished this project without it. I also want to give a big thanks to Thaddeus from Aziel Art and Sam from Boundless Entertainment. Both of you were epic in testing the lenses out and giving me feedback and helping tell people about them. Thank you guys so much. I want to thank you all for watching that video and for responding. It's been a very overwhelming experience because there's just been so much. It's such a short period of time to get so much feedback, but I do appreciate all of you, whatever you commented. This whole workflow is very interesting. I think it's only going to get more and more interesting as I get into these virtual digital twin lenses. I'll see you on the next one.